Hey Chaotic Crew, Brian here, and we've got our first look at Secrets of Strixhaven. Now this commander's been spoiled for a hot minute, but I really don't like diving into sets until we know for sure that spoiler season's going to be coming up soon, and we can really focus on a set. I think like nowadays it's really hard to find some breathing room in between sets. I think before Lauren came out, we actually had a bit more of that, but now less so. But anyways, wanted to dive in with the Miracle on Boros Street, aka Lorehold the Historian. I'm going to dive into him in a second, but first want to let you know this episode is brought to you by Mana Pool. It's a fast-growing marketplace for Magic the Gathering that makes buying and selling cards easy. Their optimizer helps you get the best value in buying cards, and the team is focused on making it a great experience for buyers and sellers alike. Really enjoyed my time using Mana Pool. It's been great. Make sure to check out our affiliate link in the description below, and shout out to Mana Pool for helping the channel out here. Now back to Lorehold, the Historian, one of the Elder Dragons of Strixhaven. Lorehold is a 5-mana 5/5 with flying and haste, so love that. Each instant and sorcery card in your hand has Miracle 2. So you may cast a card for its Miracle cost when you draw it if it's the first card you drew this turn. And at the beginning of each opponent's upkeep, you may discard a card. If you do, draw a card. Really strong card, really strong. Now the problem with Lorehold, sure he can attack in when he enters, but he doesn't really do a whole lot, when he enters. You can't really get the Miracle off unless you have a lot more mana than just the 5 you spent to cast him. So, something to think about there when you're building this deck, or if you're putting him into the 99. I'd say he works really well in decks where you like discarding and drawing cards. Otherwise, it also needs to be like a kind of a spell slinger theme. I like it. It's not a commander where you're like, man, that's too powerful, but it's also very strong if left unchecked. So those are the kind of commanders that I definitely like a lot, and can lead to some pretty fun games. Going more into the deck, we've got 14 creatures, right? Balefire Leech is great, 5 mana for 2/4. Other red creatures and white creatures get buffed +1/+1 each, and red and white will get +2/+2. Whenever you play a red spell, it deals 3 damage to target player, so great. And then whenever you play a white spell, you gain 3 life. So this is just, payoffs for casting these cheap spells. Biblioplex Assistant is great. 4 mana for a 2/1 flyer, so you're really not playing it for the body. It's a blocker, sure. But when he enters the battlefield, you put up to 1 target instant sorcery card from your graveyard on top of your library. That's important because, obviously, if you're going to draw it with Miracle 2, or if you're going to draw it and Miracle it, you can get anything out of your graveyard. And that's going to be really important here. Now, what's important about Miracle 2 is it gets past timing, right? If you draw a sorcery with Miracle, then you can cast it, right, on your opponent's turn. So that's really, really strong. Containment Construct is going to be important here. We're going to be discarding lots of cards, and we're not going to be able to cast them all, but on our turns, we can discard lands for Containment Construct. We can do a lot. Maybe we can cast something that we discard too, right? But this does not skip timing restrictions, so I need to think more about what we're discarding, right? Goliath Daydreamer is a newer card. Whenever we cast an instant or sorcery spell from our hand, exile it while putting a dream counter instead of putting it into your graveyard as it resolves. When this creature attacks, you may cast a spell from among cards you own and exile with dream counters on them without paying its mana cost. So Goliath Daydreamer is pretty nice here. Maybe gets you to cast an extra free spell or two. Probably going to be removed or board wiped away, but still pretty strong card in the deck. Impulsivity is fun, right? You can cast instant sorceries from graveyards without paying their mana costs. They get exiled, obviously, so not ideal there, but the Encore is really great here. Getting up to 3 of those triggers can be really strong in the deck. Pinnacle Monk is just fantastic. Modal card here as a land on the back, but on the front, obviously can return an instant sorcery from your graveyard to your hand. Really strong. Quintorius Loremaster, fantastic. A lot of 5 mana spells I'm noticing here. Maybe not the best for all the creatures. Obviously, you want your commander on the board first, but Quintorius is also great. Vigilance at the beginning of your end step, exile a target non-creature, non-land card from your graveyard. Make a 3/2 red and white spirit creature token. Then you pay 3 and tap and sacrifice a spirit. You choose target card, exile with Contorius. You may cast it without paying its mana cost. If that spell will be put into a graveyard, put it on the bottom of its owner's library instead. So you get it back in your deck to potentially get out later. So really strong there from Quintorius. And yeah, I think that'll be helpful here. Again, another kind of backup of your commander. Sinu, Keen Eye Protector, is really nice, right? Flying Vigilance, you tap. You can tap Sinu to exile itself. You gain 2 life and scry 2. So we care about this top deck strategy. So really fantastic to scry 2 continuously. And obviously when Lorehold attacks and isn't blocked, if Sinu's exiled, you put it on the battlefield attacking. So it's really keeps refueling itself. So really great for the deck there. Solemn Simulacrum, just a great card to ramp out, but also a blocker. Squee Goblin the Bob, a great card in any deck that cares about discarding, right? Because he just is very much a discard fodder. Now, with your commander, you're going to be discarding up to 4 cards per rotation, or really 3, but hopefully, yeah. So you'll be getting one of those back, right, with Squee Goblin the Bob. So one of those will just be draw a card, essentially. So pretty nice there. Stormkiln Artists, we're going to be casting lots of instant sorceries. They're going to be high mana value. So the more we cast, the more treasures we get, the more we can cast our higher mana value spells without the miracle, without needing our commander, right? So that's kind of the idea there. Surly Batrosaur is great. It's going to be potential removal. It's going to be making treasures. It's going to be putting +1/+1 counters on itself. Just strong overall. Verge Rangers is nice too. First strike, you can look at the top card of your library anytime, and if an opponent controls more lands than you, you can put a land from the top of your library, so that's nice. And then Witch Enchanter, just a great removal piece that's also a land, pulling double duty there. 18 sorceries, and we got some big ones here. 8 picks of power, obviously fantastic. Exile the top 10 cards of our library. We can cast spells from among them this turn. And miracling this is fantastic because we get 10 mana, so we're +8 on mana if we miracle this. So love that. Call Forth the Tempest is great. Cascade, and then deals damage to each creature your opponent's control equal to the total mana value of other spells you've cast this turn. So fantastic there. Creative Technique is just a way to get some free spells. So fantastic. I keep saying that word, but that's just what it is. Cut a Deal is interesting, right? We do want to keep drawing more cards. The thing with Lorehold is there's, you're looting a lot. You're not actually getting a whole lot of tempo in terms of card draw. You're getting tempo in the form of cheap spells. So we can run out of gas pretty quickly. So it's important to try and have a couple card draw spells in here. Cut a Deal, yeah, it gives your opponents each a card as well, but you get 3 cards potentially, so not bad there. Also, I do want to say that there are some cards in here that kind of play off more like a group huggy kind of thing, so maybe you kind of fly under the radar a little bit and then kind of hit them really hard with some big spells. Dance with the Calamity is a fun card. You really don't want to get casting this for 8 mana, so you're probably discarding this unless you miracle it, right? Or else you cast it for free from your graveyard with something like that, like Mizzix's Mastery, a fantastic card to have in here. Ensnared by the Mara, you are making your opponents face a villainous choice, and they either get you a free spell from their library, or they take lots of damage. Fated Clash is fun. You can cast it as though it had flash if a creature is attacking and a creature is blocking, and then you essentially give 2 creatures indestructible, destroy all other creatures. One of the creatures has to be an opponent. So obviously you're giving this to your commander, Lorehold, and yeah, you can just wreck people's boards, give a token indestructible, right? Pretty strong card there. Into the Time Vortex, just a 5 mana cascade spell with a rebound, so gonna be able to cast this for free again next turn. Jessica's Will, fantastic to, just essentially card draw, right? But also give us mana to cast Lorehold, and then be able to have some mana open on a future turn, hopefully to, miracle on a future turn. Promise of Loyalty essentially is a great board wipe as well. I'm going to make it so it's harder for opponents to attack you and get rid of most of the creatures on the board. Reckless Endeavor could be a board wipe. It could also just make us a bunch of treasures. And it's kind of up in the air too. You could actually kill Lorehold with this. So I kept this in here as sort of a fun, luck kind of thing. Reforge the Soul. It was going to refill your hand. So fantastic there. Already has Miracle. So love that. Storm Herd is going to make you a lot of Pegasi, probably going to be closer to like 20-ish instead of 40. You'll probably take some damage before being able to cast this. Survival Cache is interesting. You gain 2 life, then you have more life than a opponent. You draw a card, and then has Rebound. So potentially refilling itself and drawing you 2 cards for one spell, which is nice, but not always going to happen. Sometimes you're just maybe going to draw 2, or just gain 2 life, right, and not even get the card draw. Taunt from the Rampart is really fantastic in here. It's going to create some mayhem. Tent with Bunnies is fantastic. We're going to give our opponents bunnies, have them draw cards, and then have us draw cards. So love that. Volcanic Vision is really neat. Another kind of board wipe for our board wiping our opponents, right? So we are using our graveyard a little bit here, right? So our commander discarding and drawing. So we want to also be doing a lot of discarding and drawing ourselves and having some payoffs for that. We talked a bit about that with, Balefire Liege being a payoff for casting spells, but Containment Construct being able to take more advantage of discarding cards. Impulsivity is a payoff for discarding cards. Quintorius and Goliath are also strong payoffs for the deck, right? So really you're discarding big spells until you can cast them, and then you can use your graveyard in ways that some other decks can't. So big score and Unexpected Windfall are in here to discard a card, draw 2 cards, make 2 treasures. Bolt Bend is protection. Boros Charm is good protection. So is Flare Fortitude, right? We could cast it from our hand. We could also end up sacrificing a creature if we had to. We also Flare Duplication to copy spells. So love that. Speaking of protection, we were talking about that earlier. Restoration Magic is great here to protect us. But we also have removal, Chaos Warp, Crush Contraband, right? We also have Generous Gift, Aloran Searing Light, Path to Exile, Swords to Plowshares, Untimely Malfunction is protection and removal. Wear and Tear is great removal. Unexplained Absence, just really great work there. I haven't talked about Deflecting Swat, right? It's better Bolt Bend. And then we also have Invoke Calamity, which lets us cast up to 2 instant or sorcery spells with total mana value 6 or less from the graveyard without paying their mana costs. They get exiled, but it's a way to sort of cast a spell or 2. We do have a lot that are above 6, right? But we could cast Into the Time Vortex again, which is fantastic. A Creative Technique is really good. If we can cast Taunt from the Rampart, Reforge the Soul. We have a lot of good ones to cast, right? So it is pretty good there. Lorehold Command also can do a couple things for us. Don't love paying 5 for this, but paying 2 for this, I am happy to do. So that's pretty nice. And then artifacts. Obviously, got to ramp up a little bit, right? Arcane Signet, Boros Locket, Boros Signet, Filwar Stone, Mind Stone, Talisman of Conviction. We're also running Pyromancer's Goggles, right? To double the red instants or sorceries that we cast with Pyromancer's Goggles. Even with Miracle, if we're using this to cast that Miracle cost, then it is still able to copy that, which is great. Lightning Greaves is fantastic protection for our commander. And since we're discarding a lot, Monument to Endurance is probably the best payoff for that. So we are doing a lot there. Sensei's Divining Top to kind of make sure that we're getting the top card of our library. And then we do have the One Ring in here as well. I mean, I guess you don't have to have the One Ring in here, but again, this deck needs some card draw. The One Ring does it. This deck also gets some aggro. The One Ring helps with that too. As far as enchantments, we do run Sunbird's Invocation and Arcane Bombardment to just continuously overwhelm our opponents with more free spells or cheat spells, right? So that's really good there. And the lands, nothing crazy here, just enough to be able to play the game. But let's dive into a quick playtest. And we are getting 4 lands. Sure, we'll keep this hand. Draw a 5th one. So lovely. Play land, draw. We have Bolt Bend. not doing a whole lot this game. We do have removal now in our hands that we can use. So lovely. I think, though, we just wait to pass, and then end step, big score. We'll discard the Calamity. Draw 2, make 2 treasures. Okay, and we have more. So we have 2 treasures, which is fantastic, because now we can play Lorehold. Swing in. Beginning of our next turn, we discard and draw, right? So let's discard this. Let's say this sword. No, we'll keep sword. Let's discard Promise of Loyalty. We do Sunbird's Invocation, but that's not an instant or sorcery, unfortunately. But we can keep doing that if we want to. Okay, maybe the following turn we do a discard Goliath, and we draw Sundown Pass. Okay, and then on the last opponents, we discard this and draw on the round. So we didn't get to do anything. Wow. So on our turn, he draws Psalm Simulacrum. Man, we did not get lucky. That's why we're running cards like like Sensei's Divining Top. So now we could also remove. We have some removal options. We have Bolt Bend as protection. Could have potentially had to use that on our last turn. We can play Sunbirds this turn. We could play Solemn. Another rotation, Volcanic Vision would be nice, right? We discarded Promise of Loyalty, so we could deal 5 damage to each of our opponent's creatures. If we had played Sunbird's Invocation this turn and we still had the treasures, we could have done that. We would have looked at the top 7 cards. We could have cast Pyromancer's Goggles for free. That would have been really good. So yeah, this deck can be good, but also it might be waiting in the wings a little bit. Okay. Like this hand, so we'll keep it. 3 lands and Sensei's Divining Top. Next turn, Lightning Greaves. Yeah, let's play that. Those are already 2 strong options for removal for our opponents. They may take that and do that with what they will. We do have Untimely Malfunction now, so I would wait, potentially change Untimely Malfunction if someone targets it, and then we still have 1 mana to look at these 3. Yeah, sure. We can keep those, I guess. Like, oh, sorry. We drew the Furry Chrome Snarl for turn. Next turn will be Spectator Seating and then Apex of Power. So, not going to be doing a whole lot. Playing our commander. We can give him the Lightning Greaves. We don't have mana to do anything, so I don't even know why we would, you know, sure, we would not even use his ability, right, to discard and draw, because there's no reason to. But I would love to turn 4. This would be turn 5, pretty sure, or 6. You draw Apex of Power, pay 2 mana for it, exile the top 10 cards, does nothing, does nothing, does nothing. You can cast spells. You can't even play lands. So Survival Cache, Reforge a Soul, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So not much to go off of with this, but we do have lots of mana to do. So we could have just Reforged the Soul to use 5 mana first, discard and draw. And then we have some more stuff we can do here. Yeah, we're not completely out of the loop. But yeah, I mean, this is a fun deck. You just get to cast a bunch of free, high mana value instant sorceries. Honestly, kind of reminds me of what the Prismari want to be doing. So curious to see what that dragon does when it comes out. Maybe we can combine them into a fun deck together. I know Lorehold would go great in some Jeskai decks that care about spell slinging too. So really, really fun card here. Hope you enjoyed the deck tech. Make sure to leave a like on the channel, subscribe if you want to stay in touch with all these upcoming Secrets of Strixhaven commander decks that are going to be coming out. We're doing a pre-con upgrade for each one and also a giveaway, so stay tuned for that. Otherwise, I'll be back next week with another Strixhaven deck, and you take care. Bye.